hello.
Oh, hello.
And welcome to the Comic Queens podcast. I'm Alex.
And I'm Annie. And today we are super excited to talk to you about some completed series that we've read recently.
Yeah.
I have been very sad. I feel like a new trend on Manta specifically is that a lot of my favorites are coming to a close. I know it has to happen eventually. I'm just not happy about it. Again, coming from someone who can do the fluff, I just want them to go on forever.
Except for Winter Wolf. For some reason, you don't like that fluff.
Yeah, you know what? I don't understand why.
I don't either.
It is literally like the only one I'm like, I don't want to see them go to the grocery store.
I do.
But I love it. Like, I still like it a lot. I'm like, I just wanted, like, I think it's because I had the expectation that it was a thriller.
Yeah.
And it's dropping the ball for me on the thriller front.
It did have a really, really good twist.
It did. The twist was amazing. And if you haven't read it, go read it. However, just not, I don't know, something about it's missing for me.
Yeah. You can be wrong. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm wrong sometimes. But anyways, welcome back to the Comic Queens podcast. Today, Alex and I are going to be discussing two completed series that we've read recently. I think we'll be doing this somewhat often, especially since a lot of the series that we love have been coming to a close. So we'll have to talk about quite a few different ones, just in their entirety, what we thought, whether or not our theories were correct, which if you've listened to our podcast before, we can have some unhinged theories on occasion. But today, these are some shorter series that we've read. So we're just going to kind of dive right in and talk about some of the titles available on Manta Comics. So to start us out, I will be talking about one called Restoring Art and Love. It is a romance drama and it's only 13 episodes. So it's a completed series that you can get done in like a sitting. I would say it's like a good healthy amount to binge read.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even for the people who aren't insane like me. But this story, it follows Suna Oh. She is the daughter of a CEO of this Woojin corporation. And she basically handles any task that's thrown at her. And everyone just kind of keeps like throwing different things at her to see what she can get done. And she's just an amazing businesswoman.
Mm-hmm.
So the chairwoman, aka her mother, but makes her address her as chairwoman, says, I'm giving you a failing art gallery. She's like, you need to figure out how to make this work, boost the art gallery, otherwise we get rid of it entirely. And Suna is saddened by this, but also she's like, I've never been surrounded by art. Like, I know nothing about art. I'm not qualified as a business major. Like, this just is not my bag. And she goes, I guess you better learn because this is your new job. So Suna's immediately trying to take it seriously. She's like, I know nothing about this, like, at all. Thanks a lot, Mom, kind of energy. And meanwhile, we're watching this man named Inho Moon, who is like the head art conservator at the art gallery. And he basically is in charge of taking care of all of the paintings, making sure to restore them to the best of his ability, to make them as brand new as possible. And he is in love with art. Obsessed with it, you would even say.
So
like
fun.
At some point it shows him he's working from like sun up to sun down. He's late for a date with his at the moment girlfriend. And they're sitting down to dinner together and she goes, that's it. You're choosing between art and me. And he chooses art. So she leaves. And so of course he's just like kind of down on his luck. He's like, man, I'm gonna talk to this stray cat that I see over here that I guess he's been taking care of. He's like, yeah, I lost another girlfriend. I just love my art. So the two of them meet because Suna almost hits Ino with her car.
Mm-hmm.
And as Ino is kind of getting in her face, like, you can't park here. This is the grass. Suna's just kind of like, I'm the new director and I can do whatever I want.
So they're off to a great start.
Yeah, they're starting off great. They immediately are attracted to each other, but they're also kind of like, I know nothing about this person. This is my future boss. This is my future, colleague, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so they just kind of, keep their distance and at an odds. However, the team has a little bit different of an idea. They're essentially trying to convince Ino to like take the front running of this and try to convince Suna himself to keep things as the same as they can, because Suna makes it very obvious. She's like, let's just revamp everything. We need more contemporary art instead of like preserved art, etc. And the entire team just kind of starts having a panic. They're like, that's not what we do here.
That is what happens usually when new directors come in, though. Or not even just directors, but new people at the top. They're like, I've got to shake everything up.
I know. And so the team's not jazzed. The team's like, no, everything's fine. We just need someone to like maybe do social media management or like something to boost us. Like there's nothing wrong with what we do now. So Ino takes it very seriously. He loves what he does at the gallery. He is obsessed with art restoration, etc. And since he's obsessed, he basically just kind of, takes it upon himself. He's like, hey, director, like, do you want to sit down with me and like have a tea and we can just kind of discuss, how things have worked here in the past, etc. And he kind of takes a different direction and starts explaining to her about the Sistine Chapel. Now, Suna had been to the Sistine Chapel. She'd seen it before. And he goes, oh, so this is a perfect example. And he starts explaining like why art in its original form or as close to its original form as possible is so impactful. And it's not just about how it impacts him, but like what it meant in that moment and why specifically keeping the art to its truest nature is so, crucial to the painting itself. So he says that in the Sistine Chapel, it was completed, he's on like this scaffolding lifting him up in the air, and Michelangelo's like entirely trying to paint this painting himself. He's in poor health. And because it's painted on the ceiling, he had to use different kinds of mediums and paints because certain things wouldn't stick to the plaster correctly. And so when you're restoring this, it's essentially kind of a nightmare, is what he says. But ultimately, he's like, that's what gives the painting even better meaning. Like, he was called the maestro for a reason because Michelangelo knew how to work with his canvas. And so when a restorer came in and tried to essentially redo parts of the Sistine Chapel, that's what it was. It was like repainting it. It wasn't staying true to how Michelangelo did it. And they ended up repainting some of it with a lot more vibrant colors and colors that weren't available in Michelangelo's time. And he goes, this changes the entire emotion of the painting, everything like that. And Suna is pretty taken with his explanation. She's like, I never realized like how scientific it was, like how deep in meaning, like the actual mediums of the paint and things are as well. And the way that Ino kind of closes this out, he's like, yeah, so that's why it's important to like keep things as true to how they were as possible. And she goes, so you just don't want me to change shit. And so she's kind of taken aback, like, get out of my face. I'm the director. You don't get to tell me what to do. And just kind of like in being stubborn, she's like, who do you think you are to tell the director what to do? So Ino has kind of dropped the ball a little bit. But he tries to give it another chance. And he's like, director, do you have a minute? Let's meet up and talk, realizing that he might have fucked up.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. So he gives her another piece of history about another piece of work in the Sistine Chapel by Michelangelo. And it talks about how he made a painting called The Last Judgment there. And it was like basically all people. However, they were all nude in the original painting. And also, let me just decide that I love the art history that I got from this. I feel like I took a class. I read this and was like, I know nothing about art. Like my sister, she's all about the art and she can tell me probably all of this.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's true or not. I don't know if it's true, but I feel like it's true. So kudos. But anyways, it talks about Michelangelo's work, The Last Judgment, and how it's essentially all of these people and they were all nude. And the church was irate because there was no nudity in religion. They were like, how improper, this isn't okay. And Michelangelo goes, I just worked my ass off for this masterpiece. I'm not repainting shit. Like, this is what you get. You commissioned it from me. So they had his closest pupil come in. His name was Daniele de Volterra. And he essentially put drapery over all of the bodies while sticking as true to Michelangelo's style as possible. So he points out, he goes, when restoring this piece, people have been very conflicted.
Yeah.
Because do you restore it back to how Michelangelo wanted it? Or do you restore it to Daniele de Volterra's version with the drapery on it? And ultimately, since it was a religious piece, they decided to restore it to the de Volterra version. However, you can find 15 figures in this painting that have been restored to Michelangelo's, and they are naked in the church. So he kind of explains, he's like, sometimes there are additions to these paintings for a reason, and if you didn't restore it in that way, you're also taking away some of that history. And so he's trying to just continue explaining to her, like, art restoration is such a huge part of preserving these moments in history and in art and everything else. Like, staying true to the style and things is very important, but also staying true to the artist, to the actual story of the painting, and being able to see all of that when you look at it is so important. So you can see that Suna's kind of like, I like a guy who has passions. Who doesn't? And she takes note pretty quickly, like, this guy likes art pretty much, like 120%. He's all in. I wonder if he, likes people like that a little bit. So he basically asks her, he's like, what do you think the people should have done? Should they have restored everything back to Michelangelo's way? Should they have restored everything back to the Volterra way? And she doesn't really have an opinion. And she's like, I think it's based on like what the people think. And he's like, well, they're pretty divided. Mm-hmm. And ultimately that's the thing, is it comes down to the restorer themselves, how they want to essentially revive this piece. And so he goes, it's not so simple, but you just have to do what feels best. And instead of trying to like push her towards don't change anything, he goes, change is okay, but you have to have a reason behind it. It can't just like blankly change just because you think something new is better, because maybe it's not. So Sunha starts to really appreciate Inho's point of view. He's obviously extremely well educated in the area, and she's not. So she kind of starts leaning on him a lot for like that art history lesson. Me too, because I don't know anything. But essentially, like after they have this explanation, they find out that they've been at work for who knows how long. Like the sun is down, her stomach is growling, and he ends up giving her half of his sandwich. And when he gets home later that night, Inho looks at his phone and he sees that she sent him a text message that just says, now I want to go see the Sistine Chapel again. And he's just kind of like got butterflies in his stomach. Mm-hmm. He was like, oh, that's so sweet. Like we both kind of felt connected in that moment. So Inho now is kind of trying to take those steps toward her because he's like enjoying her company. Mm-hmm. Like it's not just because he gets to explain the art, which he is obsessed with, but because he's a little interested in Suna. So he basically goes up to her office and says, hey, I'm going to the National Museum of Modern and Contemporary Art, and you should come with me because that's modern art. And so you can see like what kind of art you want to showcase in our museum, etc. And they end up finding a contemporary piece by Ko Bon-wong, who is a Korean artist. And he ended up making a painting called The Portrait of a Friend. And it was a painting of his friend Yi Sang, who was a poet and a writer at the time. So he kind of shows her, he's like, take a good look at this painting. This is a part of the art restoration process called lining the canvas. And what you do is you essentially line the canvas with wax after it's been painted because it's a way to like preserve the canvas, etc. However, it can alter the image. Mm-hmm. But at the time, this was like one of the like most popular ways to restore paintings. And so he shows like the original version had like this man with stubble and like the painting just looked brighter and the wax like darkened the picture and he looked like he had a full beard. And she was like, who gets sued when that happens? Like, you destroyed this painting. And And so basically, he's just like, I mean, he didn't. Like, at the time, he used the restoration that he was supposed to. Like, he explains art restoration just to its core of, like, it's kind of like a science. You have to know, like, what materials you're using with what mediums and how it's going to affect it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was explaining that, like, the paint that you're using when you restore can't be the same as the original because you have to be able to tell where the original paint was versus the old paint. And so, like, he's basically just continuing to give her these lessons, but it's kind of like their first date. Just a little bit. So, essentially, they go back to the office. She's really happy that they got to go to the museum together and look at more art. He's kind of explaining his specific job instead of, like, all of these different, like, famous examples. And she ends up kind of, like, knocking on his door, and he is sketching a painting of her.
Ooh.
Which he hides immediately. You know, how we've all, like, written in a journal about our crush. And then, you know, you slam the book shut. Kind of like that same energy.
Yeah.
But she's like, oh, do you paint? And he ends up teaching her how to paint with oil paints. And they paint a cat together.
So fun.
The cutest cat in the world, to be honest. It's adorable. But basically, like, they just have this nice, like, actual connection with one another. And when he goes to walk her to her car, she's like, oh, the buses aren't running anymore. You should just let me drive you home. And he has car keys that he had just taken out of his pocket, and he puts them back in his pocket and lets her drive him home, even though he has a car. Because he wants to spend more time with her. So they're in the car, and they're talking more about, like, portraits and how portraits are basically, you know, really popular in just paintings in general. Mm-hmm. And why, you know, why he feels they're so gripping is because it just, like, it shows such expression and emotion that, you know, it's really hard to get from, you know, paintings of, like, a still life or something like that. So,
have you ever been to the National Portrait Museum in DC?
I have not.
Oh my gosh. We should go there.
We should go there.
It's so fun. It's like the whole museum is just dedicated to famous portraits or portraits of famous people.
I mean,
and it's
that
great.
Sounds kind of up my alley.
Yeah.
I do love, like, portrait photography and everything else.
So fun.
It really is fun.
You have
It's
been my
way.
model several times.
I have. Thank you very much. But I do love the fact that he, like, points out, like, again, they're just bringing up so many examples of famous paintings that, one, like, some of them I am familiar with and some of them I'm not. Mm-hmm. But essentially, he does kind of talk to her about, you know, just why he loves all of these different types of paintings. And he's sharing it with her. And she's learning, but she is, like, starting to be able to contribute. And it's more than just art, like, at this point. Like, basically, they're growing a relationship. And I think for Eno, it is a little bit of a comfort. This is just me inferring it. But I think it is a comfort that he was able to connect with her through art.
Yeah.
As opposed to, like, connecting with somebody and then having to make them accept his art. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just kind of something that's brought them together instead of something separating them. So, anyways, as soon as continuing to do her work, you kind of see that she's a perfectionist. Like, she had been looked down on when she was in the company and she was kind of a newbie. Like, she saw results very quickly, but people just looked down on her for being a young woman in her field. They were just like, what can she know? She's not experienced. She's just a little girl. And so she takes it super seriously that she just wants to prove to herself and everyone around her that she's successful, she knows what she's doing, etc. So she really has been taken out of her comfort zone for this one. And she's continuing to kind of do research on her own museum because she's like, why don't people come here? Like, she's falling in love with the place. Maybe she's falling in love with someone specifically. Wink, wink. But why is no one else coming to this gallery? And essentially, she sees a negative review about one of the paintings that has been restored by Inho Moon. So she calls him into her office. And she's like, why did this painting go sideways? Like, what happened? Mm-hmm. And essentially he explains that the painting that he had restored was painted on wood. And he goes, we weren't, like, this painting wasn't kept in, you know, a temperature controlled area. You know, wood can expand and contract depending on where it's stored. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, you restore it to the best of your ability, but it's going to get cracks, you know, everything else. And so essentially he's like, this just kind of happens. Like, yes, ideally it's going to be in pristine condition, but a restorer's job is essentially to keep things as true to the original as possible for as long as possible. And sometimes there's nothing you can do. But he also explains that there are pieces of work that never leave the museum that they're in, because even in transit, like the temperature and everything else can't be controlled to the point that it stays the same, and it can cause damage to the painting. So, again, little art history fact, but he does essentially talk about like how Johannes Vermeer's painting of the girl with the pearl earring is one great example, because it had such expensive pigments. It can't be exposed to light in specific areas because that can alter the painting. And so he said, he's like, it will probably never leave the museum that it's in. So she just kind of gets a fuller understanding, and she's like, okay, well, that makes sense. And Suna essentially says, hey, do you want to come to lunch with me after this meeting we have later? For like no particular reason. And they do. They kind of go to lunch, and they have a little bit of that tension between the two of them. And essentially they go to this cafe that just has a wonderful ambiance. Like there's art all around, and even their latte has like pretty art that is reflected by like famous paintings. So they basically got like a Vincent van Gogh painting on the top of their latte. Wherever they went, that's where I want to go for my next latte. I was like, I want one with Vincent van Gogh's work on it. So essentially they are kind of talking about art, and Inho stops her and he goes, honestly, I'm kind of tired of talking about art with you. Like, what made you invite me here? And Suna's like, wow, I'm just like any girl. I like a handsome guy and good company, you know, good food. And he's just like, so, like, let's just be clear. Like, do you want this to stay strictly professional? Because I don't. And so essentially they go home together. They do have a cute little talk in the car about how he's like, yeah, just so you know, like, I have a car.
I wondered if that would come back.
It was so, they laughed in the car together, and it turns out that he had a business meeting the next day he had to drive to. So she dropped him off at his house, and he had to walk back to work to get his car.
Oh my gosh.
But they both laugh it off. They think it's hysterical. So they at this point know that their feelings are mutual. They're extremely excited to be dating each other. And basically time just kind of moves forward. It's about like 3 months ahead, and the gallery is about to be opening in like the next month or so. And basically Suna's getting a lot of pressure from her chairwoman mother being like, honestly, it might just be a waste of money to do this. Like, let's just break it down.
No.
And she starts fighting for it so hard. She was like, you haven't even let it air again. Like, let's just do a premiere and like see what happens. Like, let's open the gallery, do an opening, and I'll show you that it's worth it. I promise. And so she is coming up with all of these ideas, and it's really cute to see her collaborating with Inho. She does start to have these problems of knowing how to separate like professional and personal. Like, she feels like she has to act more cold at the office so that people don't catch on to the fact that they're dating. And Inho is not a huge fan of this. Like, he's kind of golden retriever energy, like, where's my girlfriend? And, like, she's just kind of overworking herself, and he doesn't know why. So they get into a bit of an argument. They kind of butt heads, and he's like, is there room for me to be in your life, or is work, like, everything? And it's ironic because you see him at the beginning, and he's kind of that. Like, art was everything.
Yeah,
but
I was
since he's
thinking
been
that.
able to share that with her, he's like, I don't feel like there's place for me when business comes into play. And so Sunhan essentially says, like, okay, let's just call it off. Like, let's not date each other.
Oh my gosh.
And Inho is destroyed. He is like, I miss her so much already. And he's like, I know it's probably for the best. Like, if I don't feel like I'm getting enough out of the relationship, he's like, but I care about her. Like, I really want to be with her. So, you know, you as the reader know Sunha is taking it so seriously because she's like, I'm fighting so hard for what everyone here is so passionate about.
Yeah.
And so essentially she's going to her mom and she's having this talk. She's like, I promise things will be great. And then she gets notice that the gallery is on fire.
No.
I know. So she rushes over, and most everything was fine, except there was a couple of instances where, like, the media art forms had caught fire. Like, they were quite old, from like the 1960s. Mm-hmm. And though they had them backed up in like a digital format, like, it's not the same as having like the very specific like media versions that were originally created.
Yeah.
And so they essentially call a meeting. It's the first time Suna and Ino are in the same space ever since they broke up or broke things off. And Ino's kind of like avoiding her gaze. He's just like, I don't know, what to say. But essentially he gives like his honest opinion. He's like, I mean, there are different ways to do this by purchasing LED TVs. The big hang up we're going to have is that like these CRT TVs that are like thick boxes that were known for like putting these media presentations and media arts together, they're like practically extinct. Mm-hmm. Like, it's hard to find this. And like the bigger museums are the ones that can actually find and locate them. So they have like all the ones that are working. Mm-hmm. Like, it's practically impossible to source. So, Suna essentially like reaches out to him specifically and is like, can you stay after the meeting? And she's just like, I want your professional opinion. Like, and love this. And he essentially is just like, I don't want to give up our relationship. I just want to like work together on this and like show you that we can do both. Mm-hmm. Like, you need to like take a break for yourself and not get absorbed into all of this, etc. And so they end up making up. They end up premiering the gallery again in the opening. And the way that Sunha kind of made her mark on this gallery is because she decided to make an exhibit that showcases art restoration. So essentially, in real time, in like this preserved space, you can watch Inho restoring pieces of art that they have for the museum.
I love that.
And just watching all of the work that goes into it, etc. You do find out earlier on in the story that this is essentially what convinced Inho to become an art restorer in the first place. They essentially had like a roped off area in the Sistine Chapel when he was visiting where they were actively restoring it. And though he wasn't supposed to see, he was like, my curiosity got the best of me. And he kind of peeked through all of the different like curtains and everything and watched them do it. And he goes, this is a job. Like, that's incredible. And so they really felt like this would be a great approach to really revamping the space and the gallery in general. And it works. Like, the way that they're able to put it in, they were basically starting this gallery anew, saying the science of art and showing like how much goes into it. It's not just a painting. Like, they have people actively explaining the paintings to you, what the artist was feeling in that time, all the different theories, basically everything that, Inho was able to do for Sunha to make her love art. She wanted to make sure everybody could have that experience themselves, down to the very last little latte with the fun little art on it. Mm-hmm. Like, she really just made it everything that she knew made her fall in love with art itself. So, as you can see, Inho kind of becomes his own little star. He does like interviews at the end of the day where people can ask him about art restoration, like some of the best pieces he's worked on, what kind of materials he uses, etc. And Suna's happy about this. They end up doing interviews together, and it gets a lot of acclaim and just notoriety in general. Like, people are excited about the gallery. So they end up having an end of year party, and the chairwoman decides she wants to show up. And after watching the interview with Suna and Inho in it, she immediately knows her daughter and goes, they're together. She's like, there is no freaking way those two are not dating. And so she shows up as like a surprise guest and essentially walks up to Suna and she goes, oh, hello, chairwoman. And the chairwoman's like, I want to meet that restorer that you had on the TV. And she's immediately like, Suna's freaking out. She's like, my mom's not supposed to be here. Mm-hmm. But Sunha brings Inho over, and the chairwoman is like thinking to herself, like, wow, what a well put together man. Like, I approve. But she's not saying any of it out loud. And you find out that her intention was to have Suna on this project to launch the gallery, but essentially take her off of it afterwards. Mm-hmm. And Inho, surrounded by all of the other employees, just goes, with all due respect, she's the most passionate director we've ever had, and it would be like a disgrace to art gallery to take her away. And the chairwoman's like, oh, well, you know, I'll take that into consideration when I'm making my assignments for later. And then she goes, so Suna, are you going to introduce your boyfriend to your mother?
Oh my gosh. You would kind of think because of their working relationship and their personal relationship that he would want her to not be his boss. It would make things easier.
You would think so.
In so many of the office romances that I've read recently, that is what has happened is like, it's, you know, the power dynamic, whatever, and then they're like, okay, I'm going to put you under someone else so that this is no longer a problem.
That's true. But still, so essentially, you know, it's just like, I just want my girlfriend close. But the chairwoman is like, introduce me to your boyfriend. And they all start blushing and all the other employers are like, I fucking knew it. And essentially, it again skips forward in time. And 3 years later, you see that Suna and Ino are happily married. Ino has, again, just kind of blown up. And he's able to go and, like, inspect art from different, you know, galleries. He's able to help and give some of his expertise there as well. And essentially they come back, have a super healthy relationship, and they're happy in the end. Yay!
So fun. Oh my gosh. I haven't read this one, but I already know that I'm going to love it.
I know.
It sounds amazing.
I can't explain all of it to you. There are so many intricacies about the art history and the science behind restoring and everything else.
Yeah.
And truly, I felt like I was in school a little bit, but in a good way. I was like, why don't webcomics teach me more?
Oh my gosh. Honestly, like, I mean, you know, I have a minor in art history, so I will actually know some of what's going on, but it also has been, 10 years? So
did I say
a good
anything
refresher.
that you knew? Did you know anything I had said?
I did know some stuff that you've said, and, like, the one thing you didn't mention, too, was the, like, restoration of that one piece that, like, went horribly wrong.
They did make mention of a piece. Oh, God, I don't remember what the original name was. It's, like, Ecce Homo.
Yeah.
And it's a depiction of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And essentially, it's in Borja, Spain, which they ended up having a restorer who worked on it and just butchered it. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, look this up for yourself. It is the funniest thing in the world. But, I mean, like, this has happened, first of all, a lot in Spain. Like, Spain specifically, for some reason, got hit really hard with these restorers who, like, seemed to not know what was going on.
Well, I think it's that, like, there's a lot of people who kind of can just, like, bullshit their way through things.
It is the epitome of I lied on my resume.
Yeah, pretty much. But that, and then, like, the Sistine Chapel needing to use the specific materials because it was on the ceiling. Like, that's something I remember from school.
Yeah, at some point they were like, he mixed paint with egg whites.
Yeah.
To, like, get certain colors. It was just, like,
do you remember my cake canvas?
Yes. Oh my gosh, so fun.
So I made a canvas out of basically poorly made red velvet food cake. And I kept it for a long, long time, but I've gotten rid of it since. My mom hated it. Also, it was red. Like, it was not the most appealing painting, but I loved it. It was so much fun. It was more about the emotion.
I mean, yeah. And honestly, I love that this one just kind of talked about the emotion and everything behind it.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if there is a gallery where you can go and see a restoration live now, but if not, that is a great idea.
I know. Honestly, take that down.
Yeah.
If you're doing it. I know. Put it in your notes. But ultimately, it was just so great. Like, start to finish, I loved it. I loved that they talked about painting that I loved. The girl with the pearl earring, where he was talking about how, like, everyone says that this was a woman from his imagination, but why would he have put such expensive materials into this painting? Like, the blue that was used to make, like, her head covering was made from, like, crushed lapis lazuli, which was more expensive than gold at the time.
Yeah.
And he's just like, why would he put so much money into doing that if it wasn't somebody that, like, held his affections?
Yeah.
At least a little bit. And so there were, like, all these different theories. I just thought it was so cute. Like, several times I went out loud and was just like, ah! Because I just couldn't handle the cuteness. But yeah, it was a really great series. It's a quick read. So if you have not read Restoring Art and Love, it is very adorable and I highly recommend it.
Yeah. Well, I know that before we started today's episode, we did rock, paper, scissors to see who would go first.
This is true. I won.
You won, which is why you're going first. I think now that we're in it, I'm going to bring the mood down a little bit. So we maybe should have flipped it.
No, I kind of like this. It's
okay,
fine.
So I read today Homo Plastikos, which is a brand new series just launched on February 2nd, but it's a completed series.
Did it launch all at once?
It launched all at once. It's 7 episodes, so it's very short. It's a sci-fi thriller.
Ugh,
I
fun.
love this one. It was so good. The art is incredible, of course. Basically, it's kind of like post-apocalyptic. Not post-apocalyptic. I would say more of like a current apocalyptic.
In the apocalyptic.
In the apocalyptic. So it starts off and we see that there is a man who we later find out is Dr. Jeong, and he's talking about a strange phenomenon that is happening where people feel the need to eat plastic.
Gross.
This is a real thing. They mention it here, what it's actually called is pica, which is a disorder where you want to eat things that are not considered. Oh, pica. Mm-hmm. Yeah, where you want to eat things that are not food.
But wait, is it plastic usually?
It's not specifically plastic. Yeah, it could be anything. It could be clay, chalk.
Yeah, I've heard ice can be it too.
Ice, yeah, I guess, but like technically you can eat ice.
You can technically.
Because it's things that your body can't break down.
Oh, that you shouldn't be eating in the first place.
Yeah, things that are not considered food. Yeah, because so basically what we're seeing is like he's in like a morgue and there's all these dead bodies around him and they've all consumed plastic until they die.
What's he doing in the morgue? Like, does he work there?
He's a doctor. Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
I don't know if it's a morgue or if it's just like in a hospital, but it's a bunch of dead people who have all died from consumption of plastic.
Oh my God.
So he's like, this is not cool. Don't know what's going to happen. And he thinks like this is the next great pandemic.
Eating plastic.
Eating plastic, specifically.
I mean, yeah, if people started wanting to fucking do it, that'd be terrifying.
So then we cut. We get to the main character and we see Jae Hyun Shin, and he's getting ready for work. He is a career counselor. He's also a famous author, and he's just, in his room brushing his teeth, living his best life.
Yeah.
He notices that his partner's toothbrush is like really, really chewed up. Beyond like I've just brushed my teeth way too hard for too long and haven't changed out my toothbrush, but like the actual plastic has been bitten into.
Like chunks are gone.
Yeah. And he's like, that's weird. Also, okay, I'm gonna give a quick aside to say that I kind of get it because pool noodles.
I'm so curious where you're going with this. I do know what a pool noodle is.
Okay. So, you know that I grew up going to the lake and going on a boat. I don't know if I should reveal this about myself, but
we're having a hard time here.
We are, just me and you, no one else. I used to bite chunks out of the pool noodles.
God, wouldn't it be so embarrassing if you... Wouldn't it be so embarrassing if you broadcast that to several people?
But I don't know. I used to do it. It was a problem. Like, I couldn't tell you why. It was something about the texture, I think.
Yeah, probably. You know what? My husband has looked at like game pieces sometimes.
Yeah.
We were playing one called, oh shit, what was the name of it? Nemesis. And they have like these little like square red pieces. They kind of just look like if you cut Jell-O really, really small.
Yeah.
And my husband out loud just goes, why do they look like you should eat them?
Yeah.
Like, no.
So we've got to talk. You know what? I'll tell him this story and he will understand.
He'll understand you. No one else will.
No one else. Yeah. And I mean, I knew that it was wrong.
I'm glad you knew at least.
But I couldn't help it. So I get it.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. You know.
You don't, but it's fine. So he's getting ready for work. He finds the toothbrush with the crazy plastic chunks out of it. And he's like, that's weird. I guess I'll just pick her up another toothbrush after work. So then
that's fair.
Yeah.
He's probably like, it's just been used.
Yeah. Supportive partner, he's going to do
He's not going to assume she's eating a fucking toothbrush.
Not yet.
Yeah.
So he ends up going to work, and he's, career counseling a girl named Hanyul. And we just kind of cut in, and she is just like, I don't see the point of anything. Humanity kind of sucks. Like, we're destroying the earth. And who even knows if, like, why am I going to talk to a career counselor about the future when I don't even know if we're going to have a future?
Preach it.
Yeah. And he gets a little mad about this and kind of is like, we are going to have a future, and you need to check yourself. Kind of, not in so many words, but like,
jeez, you know, to calm down. Everyone's allowed to have opinions.
That was the vibe. And so he leaves that. He's kind of like, wow, I hope that interaction doesn't go viral. Like, I kind of went off the rails. I don't know why or like what's wrong. So he just kind of takes that as like, oh, I'm just having a weird day. And he goes to the store to get the toothbrush. He picks out a toothbrush. He picks out a wooden one this time. And he takes it up to the guy, and the teller is chewing on a piece of plastic behind the counter. Mm-hmm. And he's like, that's weird.
You know what, though? Like, okay, I used to chew on straws. Not to the point of, like, eating them.
Yeah.
But, like, like, just chewing on them to, like, chew on something.
People chew on things. It happens.
Yeah. So, like, just seeing him chew on it isn't crazy.
Yeah, but, I mean, when you look at it, he looked a little crazy.
Oh, okay.
But
he's got crazy eyes.
Yeah, he had crazy eyes. It was the combination of the chewing and the crazy eyes. But so he pays for the toothbrush. He goes home, and he like goes in to greet his partner, Seoyeon. Mm-hmm. And Seoyeon is like not responding to him. He's like, this is weird. He's starting to get panicked. He like is starting to feel like something is wrong. He's like, all of these things. Her toothbrush had the missing plastic. Chunk. The girl at the career center was like talking weird about doomsday. The guy was eating plastic. Like, it just is starting to feel eerie to him.
Yeah, all of it together is not great.
Yeah. So then he starts hearing a noise. He's like, oh my gosh, what is that? He opens the door. It's Seoyeon, and she's eating plastic. Like, just on the floor, eyes huge, wide, like, just looks a little unhinged.
Terrifying.
And eating plastic. So he's like, we're going to the hospital. He takes her to the hospital, and then she's there. She's like, I'm sorry, I don't know why I did that. Like, who's to say? And he's like,
just cash.
Yeah.
Cash,
he's like,
fine.
Okay, well, you have to stay here until we figure out like what's going on.
Like, something's wrong.
Yeah. So he's like, okay, I'm going to go home. I'm going to get some clothes to change into. I'm going to get some toiletries. I'll be back.
Yeah.
So he goes home, and while he's there, he's kind of like thinking like, what would drive her to eat plastic? Like, I don't get it. What's going on? And he's looking at a straw when he's doing this, and he's like, I mean, it's odorless. It's kind of brightly colored. I don't get it. And then he starts eating it because he's like, I don't know, maybe there's something about it. And so he slowly starts eating the straws. He starts eating other plastic, and the same thing is happening to him. It's just like a compulsion that he can't control. His partner couldn't control.
So freaky.
Like, it's just, who knows? And at this time, the neighbor, Guillaume Seok, also comes over, and she's knocking on the door and trying to like get him to answer the door, and says like, are you eating plastic? And it turns out that Seoyeon has said, hey, go check on Jaehyun because I can't get a hold of him. So she goes and checks on him and gives him a pill that suppresses cravings. So he does that.
Like a diet pill almost?
Kind of, yeah. It's like, I think it was just a regular, like, appetite suppressant. Mm-hmm. But because he's craving plastic instead of food, it's suppressing the desire to eat the plastic.
Yeah.
So he's like, I don't know what's going on. And we find out that Guillaume Seok had a friend who died from eating plastic and consuming it. Guillaume Siouk works at a TV station, and she tried to make a documentary about this, saying, like, this crazy phenomenon is happening where people are craving eating plastic, and it's so weird. And it was shut down. People didn't believe it. They thought this is, like...
So it aired. Like, she made the documentary.
She made the documentary, but it never aired.
Oh.
So... it was shut down, and she was fired from the studio. She asks Jae-hyun to help investigate because he's, like, a famous author. And so she's like, with your power behind this, like, I think we could get somewhere.
Yeah.
And he says, you know, okay, we'll look into it. And he's going back to the hospital now. And he's in the car, and there are, like, he's basically looking around, and he sees there are just people eating plastic all over the place. There's, like, throw up, basically, that is, like, brightly colored from people eating colorful things and then, like, throwing them up because you're not supposed to eat plastic.
PSA, don't eat pool noodles.
Don't eat pool noodles.
They might look like real noodles, but they're not.
So he's saying, like, all of this happened in 5 days. The world is going crazy now. This is crazy. And so he makes it back to the hospital. He ends up leaving the cab because it's just, like, crazy traffic. And so he starts running towards the hospital. And he's calling his partner. And she is, like, running out of the hospital, we see. And after she runs out of the hospital, they, like, meet outside, and then you see that the hospital explodes. And you see a, like, image of a nurse who was eating syringes.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It was awful.
Oh, my God. I'm so glad I read mine.
I know, but I loved this. It was so good.
It's freaky.
So they go home. They're both taking the suppressants. Things, like, kind of return to normal a little bit. And they see on the news that the explosion happened. And Seo-yeon has not talked about, like, what happened to her at the hospital at all until she sees the explosion on TV, and then she starts talking. And she tells Jae-hyun that while she was there, that nurse who was eating the syringes was her nurse. And while she was there, the nurse, like, didn't believe her that, like, she was craving eating the plastic, and, like, thought that she was crazy and, like, doing it on purpose and treating her really awfully. And Seo-yeon couldn't get a hold of Jae-hyun, and so she was panicking and didn't know what to do. And then then the nurse didn't come to give her her IV one day, so she decided to, like, go and see what was happening, and found the nurse eating the syringes.
Oh, my God.
And panicked.
As one would.
Yeah, and so she was thinking, like, I just ran away. Or, like, she ran away, and she's thinking to Jae-hyun, like, I could have done something. I could have tried to help her, but I didn't. I ran away. Yeah. And so she's feeling a little bit guilty about that. And Jae-hyun is like, you did the only thing you could. Like, what would you have done?
What could you do?
Yeah. And so then he proposes to her.
Oh, what a great moment.
He had, like, they had planned it out earlier that they were going to get married. Like, they agreed that they were going to get married.
Is this like I feel like the world is ending. We might as well get married now.
Well, they already lived together, and they had already talked about getting married. It's just that, like, they hadn't done it yet. So it was kind of like, yeah, let's just get married. And then it just says that they're married. So I don't know.
Time skip.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's, like, a time skip or if it's, like, I don't know. Who's to say?
Tell you.
But they're married. So that just happens.
That's cool.
But Seo-hyun is, like, not happy. She's, still craving to eat plastic. They are eating food and avoiding plastic with the appetite suppressants, but, like, she's just really, really struggling, like, with what happened at the hospital and all of that. And so she's just, like, staying in her room all day and not doing anything, and the media is not reporting on this, so she feels alone and isolated, like this is just happening to her and no one else. And so Jaehyun decides to take matters into his own hands, and he posts online, basically on like Twitter, saying like this happened, that people are craving to eat plastic. And then other people, like it goes viral, and other people are saying like this happened to me too, and like stories are trying to get out there a little bit. But his reasoning for doing this is because he didn't want her to feel alone.
Yeah.
So
that's sweet.
Yeah, he had it in his best interest. We also see that this is the very end of episode 4. So we're like halfway through.
Yeah.
And we see that she's pregnant. So she's alone in her room. She has like 5 pregnancy tests around her, and she's not happy about it.
Oh no.
Because like this, who knows what's gonna happen?
Is it
they
contagious?
feel like they're in an apocalyptic world right now,
What
and
kind
they
of
don't know what's gonna
world?
happen.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if I want to bring a baby into this world. Basically,
Oh, it's so sad.
is what she's feeling. So then we see that other people are posting their experiences. Like I said, everything is going viral, but the media is still not talking about it. They're silent about everything that's going on. So it's like a little bit underground.
Suspicious.
It's suspicious. It's a little bit suspicious. So Seoyeon is also upset because people are starting to ask her about eating plastic because Jaehyun posted about this happening to her. And she is saying like that she just wanted to be left alone. She feels like she just wanted to forget that this even happened, and now she can't do that because it's out there that this happened to her.
Yeah.
And people are asking her about it now. So again, she goes back to her room and she refuses to leave, and she's basically just in there alone, like not eating, not talking to anyone, just staying in her room alone.
Oh.
So at the same time, people start thinking that Jaehyun like made this up because everyone wants Seoyeon to like talk about what happened, and she doesn't want to.
Yeah, I don't blame her.
Yeah. So they think that she made it up, or they think that Jaehyun made it up because she refuses to talk about it. So it's like a lot of back and forth. He's being called a fraud online, and just like it doesn't look good right now.
Yeah.
Then he's like thinking about just deleting all of his accounts. He's like, it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna be here for Seoyeon, and like nothing else matters anymore.
Yeah.
But before he deletes his accounts, he sees a message come in from Seok, and it says to call her. So he's like, okay, I can trust this person. This is the one who gave me the appetite suppressants in the first place.
Yeah.
Like everything will be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And he calls her and finds out that there is a party at a bar, and it's a nerdle party. Do you know what a nerdle is?
I have no idea what that is.
I didn't either. It's a real thing. But a nerdle is a tiny plastic pellet used when you produce plastics. So basically, it's like little pieces of plastic that you put into a mold and melt, and then that's how plastic things are made.
A nerdle party? But what would you do at a nerdle party?
What would you do at a nerdle party in a world where people eat plastic?
Eat it?
Yes.
Who would go to that? Everyone's trying not to eat plastic.
No, everyone is not trying not to eat plastic. Just Seoyeon and Jaehyun are trying not to eat plastic. Everyone else is like, screw it, we're going to eat plastic.
Dummies?
So Jaehyun goes to this party and meets Seok there because she's like, well, one, she says that she's in hiding right now and that there are, people out to get her, basically. And so she's going to the nerdle party and wants him to go too because it'll be a good place to investigate. It's for celebrities. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so he goes to this party.
Weird.
Well, before he goes, he walks into Seoyeon's room and says, I'm going out for a little while. Like, when I get back, why don't I make us some food? And tries to talk to her, and she's not responding.
Has she told him that she's pregnant?
No. He doesn't know. And she's turned away from him and not responding at all. So he leaves. Very sad. And he goes to this party and sees Guillaume Seok there. And Guillaume Seok looks bad. Like, very, very bad. And he's, like, thinking, what happened? What happened to her?
I don't know. They are at a nerdle party.
So when he gets there, he's talking, and he's like, what happened to you? And saying that, like, he doesn't recognize what she looks like. And she basically starts eating the plastic and saying, you have to eat this, otherwise people will get suspicious. And so he starts eating some of the plastic too, because he doesn't want people to get suspicious. But he's also like, have you been eating plastic? Like, what is going on? Mm-hmm. And she says that she found out that she has breast cancer. So she's kind of like, I'm just going to do what I want. It doesn't matter anymore.
But what she wants is plastic.
Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah. So...
That is really sad, though.
I know. And it's, honestly, it's just crazy. The whole thing. So he's there. He ends up eating the plastic. And there are a bunch of people, like, watching, basically, to see if he will partake. And if he doesn't, like, he's probably in danger. Because this is, like, a secret party. Mm-hmm. It's famous people.
Like an underground.
Nerdle
party.
Nerdle party.
It just sounds goofy.
It's crazy. And then, after he eats it, you get the best art in the whole thing. It's basically, like, an outline drawing of him eating plastic. In the background looks kind of like a galaxy. It's just it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. But as he's eating it, he's like, oh, I forgot how much I loved how this tastes. Like, it's been a long time since he's had it now.
It's like a drug.
It's like a drug. Like, he feels like he's going back. And he's like, I'm disgusted by this, but I have to do it anyways. But then he thinks about his wife, and he's like, I can't do this. You can't do this to her. And he asks Guillaume Seok if she's really there to investigate or if she's just there to partake. And so that is when she's kind of like, I've basically just given up, and there's nothing that I can do. We also find out that according to the data that has been, like, found out so far, no one over the age of 60 has felt the urge to eat plastic. It's just younger people who are feeling it. So they're thinking that's weird. They also make a connection to COVID and say that those who were exposed to COVID at a younger age are the ones who are feeling this compulsion to eat plastic. So it's kind of like, it's bringing it into very modern times.
Very modern times and very real times. And I feel like they need to get out. Well, that's new nightmares.
Well, it's interesting too, because in the beginning when they say this is the second pandemic, like, I had the connection, like, to COVID in my mind, but I didn't think that they would actually just go and say it. And then they did. Yeah. And then they did.
I'm not a fan.
So he's, like, thinking about what's going on, and what if plastic just destroys an entire generation, basically? Like, what's going to happen? And he starts to panic about, like, is humanity going to survive this, basically? Like, what is going to happen? And Guillaume Seok basically says, like, it's over for me. I leave this investigation in your hands now. Like, as he's having this as he's having this thought, she tells him that, basically. And so then he's, like, getting a lot of comments at the place saying that, like, people are talking to him saying, like, you don't deserve to be an author. You're a conspiracy theorist. Like, this
But okay, like, so many people are eating plastics. Like, a lot of people know that this is true.
Yeah. So I don't get it. It's like, basically they're trying to say that it's not happening, basically. Like, they're trying to keep it contained.
Keep it on the down low so we can have our secret nerdle party.
Yeah. Also, nerdle as a name, like, no.
Who named the nerdle?
So this is when he starts thinking, like, the only thing that matters to me is Sioyan.
Aww.
And he's like, wait a minute. When I left, like, she wasn't responding to me. She didn't even move. And he starts getting this sinking feeling.
No. You shut up. Don't look at me like that.
And he knows
No.
that when he goes back, that she's going to be gone. And he starts thinking, so throughout the series, they've kind of woven in that, like, when he's having a flashback about her, they were making snow ducks. And so then he says to her, like, we can go out and make snow ducks again. He, like, thinks about it. And so he's thinking about, like, making the snow ducks with her. And he is in a cab. He throws up the plastic because he was at that nerdle party eating plastic.
I'm not sure if you missed that part. Nerdle.
He's telling the cab to get home quickly because he's worried about his wife. And he goes and he opens her door and he's trying to, like, talk to her and say nothing has left. And he's trying to talk to her and say, like, let's go. It's snowing. Let's go out and make the snow ducks. Don't you remember that we used to do this? And she's gone. So he's just, like, sobbing, basically.
Aww.
So then we come to the end. This is the last episode. And he is, like, sobbing still. We come on that when it starts. And he notices that there are some, like, boxes in the corner. So he goes and he sees what's in these boxes, and it's the pregnancy test. So he finds out that she was pregnant.
So now he's not only missing his wife, but their baby.
Yeah. And
rip my heart out.
I know. He kind of gets it, though, because then he starts thinking about, like, okay, what if we did have a kid? And he's imagining, like, having this kid and this kid eating plastic, basically. And so he's saying, like, I'm upset, but I understand why she did this.
Yeah.
And so then he basically just loses it. And he's like, okay, I guess I'm just going to eat plastic now. And
no,
so
do your research.
He starts eating the plastic. He starts eating the pregnancy test.
Oh.
And
okay, sir.
It's a little gross. And he's like, I was such an idiot. Like, I can't do this. And then it cuts back to the doctor from the beginning. This is where you find out his name, Dr. Jeong. And he's been researching this whole time, basically. And he's claiming that Gen Z, basically, who is afflicted with this compulsion to eat plastic. But that it's because of genetic modifications from the environmental hormones of just, like, plastic being in our environment, basically. Like, because there's so much plastic in the oceans, all of that, it's, like, getting into our bloodstreams and all of that stuff. So he's saying, like, the humans can't eat plastic, but they have a desire to eat plastic. So that's, like, you know, causing issues, which, I mean, we've seen so far in the series.
It has not been a very smooth process.
We also see a tweet from Jaehyun Shin saying, "We should not despair yet. I truly believe that if we place our faith in humanity, that this too shall pass and we will rise above. We will never go down without a fight."
Oh.
So he says that, and this is, like, while the doctor is, you know, having all of this, and he's explaining that there are newborns with birth defects that are being born. But the defects some are being born with all of their teeth already. like newborns with teeth.
Terrifying.
Yeah. Others are born with oral and digestive structures that are not like as easy to tear, so better for consuming plastic. And they're saying that these are ultra defects. So basically, like, the defects that are happening are just so that people can eat plastic now. Because that's, like, you know, what is happening. So they basically say this new generation is like a new breed, like a new type of human race, basically. And that race is called Homo Plastikos.
Get the fuck out. That was terrifying.
I love this. It is so good. I love the apocalyptic stuff.
Oh, creepy.
It's super, super creepy, but it's so well done.
Okay, it sounds well done and well written. It just also is terrifying.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking.
I wonder if his wife had the baby.
She did not.
Well, never mind then.
Yeah.
So sad.
So now are you still glad that we ended with mine?
Yeah, kind of. Gave me a lot to think about. Honestly, just super happy to know that you used to take bites out of pool noodles.
Yeah, I guess we could just leave with that.
I think that really just raised the spirits.
Yeah,
so
I'll leave that. I'll leave that in here for the people.
Honestly, I want to read it just because I want to see how the art pairs with the story.
Yeah,
but man, this sounds really good. Wild,
and it's super, super creepy.
Yeah, I mean it's supposed to be.
Yeah,
so it did its job.
It did its job. Very good.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10 would recommend.
Well, thank you all so much for joining us on this journey and talking about some of the completed series we've finished recently. Again, a lot of titles that Alex and I love have come to a close. So we will be doing a lot of talks about series like The Dangerous Convenience Store and other stories available as well that are completed. So you can binge them to your heart's desire. But we are looking forward to talking to you on the next one. It will be one day later than usual because this year is a leap year. So next week we will be talking about one of our new favorite sort of time travel isekai stories so that you can all kind of time travel with us on a day that won't happen for another 4 years. So thank you so much for joining us today and looking forward to talking to you on the next one.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.